All right, Paul George has been banned for taking improper medication and his career is over. He's suspended for the rest of his life. How dare you take anything besides aspirin if you are an NBA player? In seriousness, though, he's banned for 25 games for taking improper medication. It says if I was in the NBA and I failed a drug test, of course you're gonna say it was an accident. I just took improper medication. That's the way to go. Never admit guilt. Just dance around it. But getting into what Paul George said here, it's a little deeper than just Paul George is doing steroids or whatever people might think just from seeing this at a glance. But Paul George's been suspended without pay for 25 games for violating the NBA's anti-drug policy. NBA hates drugs. Moving on, though, in a statement to ESPN's Shams Charania, probably know who Shams is. He is the biggest insider in the NBA. He's the one that breaks all the trades, and he probably has the best relationships with NBA players out of all the reporters. So NBA players really support Shams, and they want to talk to Shams when stuff like this happens. But Paul George says, over the past few years, I've discussed the importance of mental health, and in the course of recently seeking treatment for an issue of my own, I made the mistake of taking an improper medication. I take full responsibility for my actions and apologize to the Sixers organization, my teammates, and the Philly fans for my poor decision making during this process. So, I mean, I feel for Paul George on that one. If he's really dealing with mental health things, we wish him the best, of course. That is pretty serious. People are kind of putting that more into light these days. It wasn't not as taboo as it used to be. People actually do sometimes have mental health problems and issues. With that being said, I don't think that medicine or taking pills is really the way to solve that or make yourself better, at least in my opinion. But then we'd be getting into a whole different thing, talking about mental health and mental health treatments. But Paul George says he took an improper medication and that's why he failed the drug test. I'll just believe Paul George on that one. I mean, he doesn't look like he's taking steroids. It's not like his body transformed overnight. There are some steroids that are more for longevity. It's not necessarily you just take steroids to look like some swole meathead. But back to what Paul George was saying, if this is the case, I'd like the NBA to kind of look more into what happened. I'm sure they're doing an investigation, or like they say right here during this process, so they're going through a process to kind of see exactly what happened. And Paul George was taking some antidepressant or whatever they may have been giving him. It wasn't like a medication that was some steroid related medication that's going to give him a physical advantage over his competition. Then I think the NBA should look into that. If Paul George really took the wrong medication, again, antidepressant, whatever he was taking, again, I don't think anyone should be taking those pills. I think those are terrible for you. But if that was really what happened with Paul George, I'd like the NBA to go on with their process and possibly rescind the suspension or shorten the suspension, because I feel like you shouldn't get suspended for just trying to help yourself with your mental health, regardless of if we agree with, pills being the solution for the mental health problems Paul George may be dealing with. But, again, they didn't announce what medicine he took. Again, if Paul George was doing steroids, I'm not saying he did or didn't do that, but this is the route I would take. I just took an improper medication. That's what guys always say if they got caught using a performance enhancing drug. That's the word I was looking for, a performance enhancer. But if the NBA looks into this and that drug in fact wasn't a performance enhancer, it was just something to try to help Paul George's mental state, if that's what he's doing, then I don't think he should be suspended for something like that. And hopefully they can rescind his suspension or at least shorten it if he was just taking some antidepressant or something like that. With that being said, right down here is a Bobby Marks article, the financial impact of Paul George's suspension. I'm pretty sure he's making about $60 million this year. He's getting paid a lot of money, so that's going to be 25 games. That's like 1/3 of the season, so he's probably going to miss out on $15 to $20 million or so. So that's a big chunk out of Paul George's pocket. NBA players make plenty of money, but again, I don't think he should be missing games if it was an antipsychotic. I don't know everything about those types of drugs, but if it's an antidepressant or something like that, I don't think he should be suspended for that. We got to the financial impact. He's probably missing out on $15 to $20 million. Going into the basketball part of this, the Sixers have been playing really, really well. Joel Embiid's health seems to be improving. VJ Edgecomb is awesome. Tyrese Maxey is having the best season of his whole career. Paul George comes back. Their whole team is looking pretty healthy. They're playing really good basketball. And then this comes out. So this is really a blow to the Sixers season because Paul George, he's not their number two option anymore. That's probably maybe Joel Embiid at this point. Tyrese Maxey may be the number one option at this point, but it sucks from a basketball standpoint as well for Sixers fans. Again, if he wasn't taking a performance enhancer and he got suspended for that, the NBA hope they continue their process. And if that is the case and it wasn't a PED, hopefully they can rescind the suspension or shorten it, like I was saying, because I don't think Paul George deserves to be suspended if he really was just trying to do something to to help out with his mental health. I guess on the flip side of things, if Paul George is going to take a medication, you should take it to the NBA's medical team, whoever it is, and let them see the medication and say, is this okay for me to take? And kind of go on from there. But, we kind of are where we're at this point. But wish the best for Paul George. If he's dealing with mental things, hopefully he gets all that taken care of. Because that's kind of a pretty serious thing. And, athletes, just famous people, I guess you could say, wealthy people, they're starting to put their voice out more and kind of try to address and help people out that are dealing with those mental health problems. So hopefully Paul George is fine with his mental health. Hopefully it was just just a mistake on his part. And again, if it's not a PED and the NBA goes through their process and sees it's not a PED, it actually was something to try to help his mental health, I'd like to see them kind of rescind that because he doesn't deserve to be suspended if he actually was just trying to help his mental state there. But please like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 7 million subscribers. Let me know what you think about Paul George's 25-game suspension. Let me know if you think this is warranted or not. Because if it's PEDs, I do agree. I don't want anybody taking PEDs in the NBA. Actually, I don't really care. All the guys take steroids if we're going to be honest about it. Kobe would go to Germany. LeBron James goes to Germany. Wherever they go, all the guys do steroids. They're just not considered steroids because they stay one step ahead of the drug testing program. But anyway, hopefully Paul George is doing okay and they get this sorted out and we can see exactly what the medication he was taking. But please like and subscribe. 7 million subscribers. I'm on the way. Let me know what you think, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace out, bro.